Kitty is definitely an inspiring speaker. With that, now I've always had a pleasure representing this great community, which has great people in it. It's always an absolute pleasure. I would never have been in the state legislature if I had represented a different community. That is no doubt. But through this experience, I've had the opportunity to meet some great friends and have some great allies. There are people in this room that were kind enough to help me at times of struggle. Maybe I decided to sue a former governor. And they stepped up and helped me defend the Nevada Constitution against that act. And the Supreme Court agreed by unanimous rule that it was unconstitutional what they did. And so I have to point out and pick on a good friend of mine, Mary Lau, say thank you to her. And I also want to pick out the next person who's going to speak, Paul Enos. If it weren't for the help of individuals like that, it could not have been done. Could not have stood up for the Constitution and for what's right. Paul Enos is a good friend. He is the CEO of the Nevada Trucking Association, which was established in 1932. The Nevada Trucking Association is a premier voice for the trucking industry in Nevada, and he's also the two-time recipient of the Mike Russell Trucking Image Award. Enos is a past chairman of the Trucking Association Executive Council, known as TAKE, and recipient of the ATA, the American Trucking Association, President's Annual TAKE Leadership Award, and the TRALA State Trucking Association Award, which is a trucking, I believe, renting and leasing association. With that, he's assumed position as CEO in 2006. He has aggressively and successfully advocated for public awareness that enhances the trucking industry's competitiveness and profitability and improves Nevada's general business climate. With that, Mr. Enos, my friend.
All right, should we bring everybody up here? Let's get our panelists up here. All right. Well, hey, I appreciate that introduction. Thank you for reading the bio. That's always nice. Although my favorite thing, somebody asked me, what's the one thing you want me to say about you in this bio that you think is most important? And I said, tell them I'm from Elko, because I'm also a third-generation Nevadan rural kid. Very proud of that. And I do represent the Nevada Trucking Association. It has been a blessing for me to represent truckers. And one of my favorite taglines is, motion and purpose is a truck's greatest attribute. Actually, no, truck's greatest virtue. You think about all of the things that trucks move, every sector of the economy that we touch: retail, construction, automotive, agriculture, mining, and of course, manufacturing. And so I'm very blessed today to be on this panel with these folks, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves. Let's go ahead. We'll take a seat. And I guess we'll just start in order here. George Phillips, go for it.
Good morning, George Phillips. I work for VIP Rubber and Plastics in Minden, Johnson Lane area. I moved here almost 9 years ago with the company. I live in the Johnson Lane area with my family. VIP has been in business since 1960. They're actually a rubber company, but in the 90s, plastics came to be more environmentally friendly and able to replace a lot of rubber products. So VIP decided to bring up the plastics, and in 2015, they purchased another plastics company, and that's when we moved up here.
Aaron.
Hi, my name is Aaron Hatch. I'm the plant director on the manufacturing side for the Starbucks facility out there near the airport. I think most people know what Starbucks does. Most people don't realize that we have to manufacture that coffee someplace. And then we also have to distribute to our stores. And so we've got a large facility there that's over 1 million square feet. Have about 450 people that work there. We do about 80 to 90 million pounds of coffee a year. And we service thousands of stores throughout California, Nevada, Utah, and we'll soon be supporting stores out of Phoenix and all of Arizona. I've been with Starbucks for 18 years. Started in this factory here in Minden. 18 years ago, was there for a year, and then I've had the opportunity to work in many different locations for Starbucks. And been back at this plant as the director for the last 5 years. My wife and I, we love it here and love Douglas County. So Thank you. Honored to be here.
Thanks, Aaron. Lisa.
Hi, I'm Lisa Costigan. I'm General Manager of Manufacturing for Leahy IFP, which is the parent company of Continuum Packing Solutions, which is located in Minden. Continuum Packing Solutions, if you're not aware, is a co-manufacturer of juices, smoothies, and concentrates for the national food service chains that are out there. Starbucks happens to be one of our customers. Very happy to have your business. We've been in business since 2009, and the company has been owned by Leahy since 2010. We today have 90,000 square feet of manufacturing and warehousing. We employ 130 full-time employees, and we have 24-hour, 5 days a week production with 3 lines.
Mr. Parmer, actually the guy in here who I've probably known longer than anybody else. I think we're at 28 years now, Jay. Poor guy.
I think that's right. My name is Jay Parmer. I'm the interim president of the Nevada Manufacturers Association. I've been in that role since July of this year. The Nevada Manufacturers Association has been around since 1977. It has its roots right here in western Nevada. It started with a core group of companies like Bentley, Nevada and Minden, and a cluster of manufacturers down around the Carson City Airport. During the last legislative session, we saw an opportunity to really reimagine the Manufacturers Association and make it the voice again of the industry before elected officials, policymakers, and regulators. And we continue to work on that. We have a very robust, small board of directors that's come together in the last year, some old and some new. We're working to make the organization a statewide organization. We want to remember our roots, but we want to recognize the growth of manufacturing in this state, particularly with some of the opportunities that are now presenting themselves in Las Vegas with specialty manufacturing. And just wanted to say that all of you in this room, I'm sure, know Ray Bacon. Ray was the longtime executive director over 3 decades, and he's a longtime friend of Paul's, and I'm stealing his thunder, but Ray set us up for success, and he continues to support us with his knowledge and his experience by being a member of the board of directors. So thank you, Ray, for giving us the opportunity to move the organization forward into the coming decades.
All right, so question everybody wants to know. You have companies that have been in multiple different places. Why did you pick Nevada and specifically Douglas County to operate and grow in?
Well, you want the real reason, or you just want?
No, I want the real reason. This is a no BS. Come on.
Sales tax.
No,
estate
we're
tax. No. Okay. My opinion of why Vit moved up here is because of the show Bonanza. Anybody know that show? No.
Everybody knows Bonanza.
I
right?
sure
Come
hope
on.
so. Okay, so the show Bonanza. My father is from a Greek island called Cyprus, and that's mildly third world. When he grew up there was only one television in the entire town. That was the coffee shop. The only way to run that television was off of a tractor, Massey Ferguson. The only 2 shows that were played was Bonanza and Big Valley. When he was forced to come here, Turkey invaded Cyprus and grew up. He was just 14 years old. He took us, when I was 9 months old, to Lake Tahoe to see the Ponderosa Ranch. And it became an annual family trip every year. And every year he said, someday I'm going to buy a place in Gardnerville. And in 2014 he did. Now it's my belief, when he convinced Howard Vipperman to come up here and visit as well, Howard fell in love with the area, fell in love with Douglas County, and purchased a plant in the Johnson Lane area. So my version is Bonanza.
Aaron, I can't imagine that Lauren Green had anything to do with
I don't have as good a story as that. That's a great story. So we chose this area. If you look at where Starbucks roasting plants are, they're close to the coast. Green coffee comes in from all over the world, and green coffee is extremely dense and heavy. And so you don't want to, transport that across land. It's very expensive to do that. And so we try to get as close to the coast as we can. Well, we need to make sure that we had some manufacturing that can support the California market without being in California. It's challenging it's challenging to get some things done there. And so certainly building permits and operating is a little more challenging there. And it was a friendly business environment in this area, which is why we chose here. So there you go. We got to stay close to the coast because coffee's heavy.
Lisa, how about
So similarly to Aaron here, we were looking for, Lady IFP was looking for a West Coast facility in order to support our West Coast customers. So back in 2010 when we had purchased Continuum, we had a new relationship with a small company called Starbucks, and we were looking to grow that relationship. So we happened to find some property, a multi-tenant facility with the help of some people with Douglas County, which is very close to Starbucks. So we ended up there in Minden, I think like maybe a quarter mile away from where you guys are located right now.
so Lisa, real quick, what's the product that you guys make for Starbucks?
So we make juices and smoothies, so it's basically juice concentrates. So hopefully I can say this.
Sure.
If you ever had refreshers, the juice that goes in there is likely produced by Continuum. So please go buy some refreshers.
Hey, Jay, I think it has kind of been illustrated right here with Lisa and Aaron, but I'm going to ask the question anyways. How important is it for manufacturers to be around other manufacturers?
We find that, and I think they agree, that there's incredible synergies with having manufacturers together in certain areas. They're able to avail themselves of distribution centers, they're able to avail themselves of logistics, they're able to share carrying costs like transportation and other issues. They're able to talk to the utilities about maintaining the adequate power that they need to run their facilities. So I would say it's really not only natural but kind of critical that they find these areas of concentration and work together for the benefit of all of their companies, no matter even if they're competitors.
So one of the things, it's always, hey, what's working well? And we know Nevada, hey, our proximity to California, that's great. The fact that you do have other manufacturers here that you can share some of those burdens with. What are some of the areas where we need to do better? And I'll open that up to the first person who wants to answer that question.
That would be affordable housing and employment. Those two come together. And then we have this attitude that people coming from California are terrible, which I can understand that, but if you remember at the beginning of my conversation...
Wait, where are you from?
Somewhere else. I had mentioned how my father came from a different country, and growing up, we didn't know of another country. We only knew of America, the American flag in our front yard, and he just learned to appreciate what America had to offer because he had less somewhere else. And I feel that the employees that we've brought up here feel the same way about Douglas County. They appreciate what Douglas County has. They're not trying to change it. And I think maybe we can be a little bit more welcoming to outsiders in that manner. But yeah, for affordable housing is our biggest issue.
I'll echo that. Affordable housing. Affordable housing is challenging, and we've got to think about how if we're going to be friendly to manufacturing in Douglas County, we have to consider the fact that folks that work in manufacturing, that are on the front lines, that are making the products that will go into Starbucks stores or wherever, military contracts or whatever customers you've got, the people that are on the front lines, they need a place to live that doesn't require them to drive 40 miles or 50 miles from a place where they can afford. So that's a big challenge for the county. The other thing is kids, and I think this kind of goes hand in hand with what Kitty was talking about. Kids are indoctrinated, I think, at a young age that the only worth that they can gain is by going and getting a college education rather than working with their hands. And when you think about what supports our economies, what it supports our infrastructure, and provides the ability for us to all live the lifestyle that we do. It's those individuals that go out and learn a trade, that they go into manufacturing, that they build things, they create things that then all of us can use. And we've got to make it so that it's encouraging for kids, that they know that jobs in manufacturing can give them a lifelong benefit. At the time that I was trying to decide what I wanted to do when I grew up, whether I've grown up or not is debatable, but the time I was trying to figure out what I wanted to study and focus on in college, I had started working in a manufacturing facility. And at the time, I had an opportunity to be, I was choosing or selecting from engineering, from being a medical professional, and I started working in manufacturing, and I loved it. And I chose to stay with manufacturing, and as a result, that's why I'm still doing manufacturing today. But I was down that path that only certain degrees were going to be acceptable for me, and it wasn't the case. And I think we need to make sure that kids understand that they can find worth, self-worth, they can grow up and be productive and contribute positively to society by going into jobs like the trades, manufacturing, and so on.
I agree with both these gentlemen. Definitely affordable housing. About 40% of my team members at Continuum are in Douglas County, so the other 60% are traveling significantly farther. From a manufacturing perspective, we have to make manufacturing sexy. I mean, it is a career that can be a really good, stable career. There's opportunities to use technical skills to advance into leadership and management. I think it would be great if we can get before the young people these days and just show them that there actually is a career. That's something that we're focusing very much on at Continuum is how do we provide a career path for our employees, and we've started bringing in some leadership programs through lean manufacturing where they have an opportunity to participate on a team to do some kind of continuous improvement for the facility. We did one recently. We were able, of the 8 people that participated in that program, we were able to promote 2 of those to lead positions. So we're trying to show the people within our facility that there's an opportunity to grow, but what we need to do is get that seed planted into the minds of the young people who are in high school, perhaps going to community college, that please come join manufacturing. It can be a really great career and very exciting because it's always different.
Hey, Jay, to that end, I know that's something you've been involved with. Governor Lombardo has been involved with. Will you talk about some of the ways that, as Lisa said, we're trying to make manufacturing sexy?
Well, half of all jobs in manufacturing do not require anything more than a high school diploma. And that's a national statistic. I believe it holds true here. And the thing that we hear more from manufacturers that we've been out talking to than anything else is that workforce availability is their biggest issue. And I think that we have an opportunity and we have a need to start communicating with students and helping them think about what their careers are going to be post-high school. Because when you look at the dropout rates, you're seeing a lot of kids that are getting frustrated with school. It was true before the pandemic. It's gotten worse now. They're frustrated with school. They're on the verge of dropping out. They're not engaged. They're not keeping up with their peers. So there's a lot of reason for them to kind of give up on school. So really non-traditional learning. We used to have vocational education in shops and those sort of things in the schools. We don't see so much of that anymore. But we were able to, the Trucking Association, the manufacturers were able to partner with the governor's office, and we were able to bring in a program called Star Academy. We have the first pilot in the state is in Elko County, in the Elko County School District in Adobe Middle School. And that program's been running since August, the new school year, and it's part of a national program that's in 15 states. There are 100 different unique school sites, school within a school, and it's really tactile learning. They're taking kids that are on the verge of dropping out, 7th and 8th graders, And they're teaching them hands-on skills. They're learning about things like robotics and rockets, and even things like seismology and how that works, and how to use principles of seismology to build earthquake-resistant buildings. It's very hands-on learning, and there's 75 kids in that program. There'll be 75 students a year for the next 3 years in that. And there's been a lot of discussion. The National Governors Association is really starting to talk more to governors about that really workforce development has to start earlier than high school and earlier than junior college. We need to get these kids early, figure out what will keep them engaged, tell them that their life doesn't necessarily have to include college, and that there's available jobs that provide good wages and good benefits that they can take care of themselves and their families. So I think we need more emphasis on that. I applaud Governor Lombardo and the Department of Employment, Training, and Rehabilitation for participating in Star Academy. I hope there's more programs like that out there that we can spend time putting into the classrooms.
So, workforce development is absolutely essential. So, attracting folks is one thing, keeping them is another. And, I think that's been a challenge, really over the last 4 years with, hey, people have to show up to work, right? You can't just work, from Zoom at your house. What do you guys do in terms of culture at your businesses to keep employees there and keep them engaged?
Well, the best way we keep our employees engaged is by treating them like family, making them feel like part of the team, because they are. We wouldn't be able to function without them. Making them realize that what we do is not something you can do remotely, right? Make them understand that their job is important, and kind of bouncing back to getting to the kids, we need them to realize that TikTok's not the way to go, but actually coming in and seeing that you can make something and do well for yourself with your hands or with your knowledge that you learn hands-on. I think the vision for kids is manufacturing, you're full of oil and grease and you're dirty and you're making minimum wage, when that's not the case at all. Manufacturing, especially here in Douglas County, you can make a very good living. So we, bouncing back to what you asked, we just make them feel like part of our family, because they are.
Aaron, tell us about the culture at Starbucks, and how do you keep those employees engaged?
Yeah, so part of it is obviously make sure that you've got the right benefits. There's got to be good health care. Pay's got to be right for the role and for the area. And then nobody's going to stay around for those. It might attract them, but nobody's going to stay around for those. And so we've got to make sure that we've got the right connection with our partners. We call our employees partners. One of the benefits that Starbucks has is every partner has the benefit of receiving stock at the end of the year. And to date, there's never been a year that we've not paid out stock to our partners. And so quite literally, they are partners in the business. But to keep them engaged and keep them coming back every day, it's about making sure that we've engaged them or connected them with the work that they're doing and that they're part of the problem solving. So I don't know that we're quite making it sexy yet, and maybe we need to work on that a little bit more. But it's about making sure that, like what Lisa said, that we're training on lean principles and best practices in manufacturing, and that we include those individuals that are making the products, that are working every day, that they're included in the decision making and the problem solving, because it's ultimately about making them more effective and making their lives easier as they're trying to do the work and produce the coffee. And so to make sure we've got the right engagement, and then and maybe I should have led with this, but we've got to make sure that we've provided a safe work environment for them, that they understand not only what their responsibilities are to keep themselves safe, but also to keep the others around them. And so we try to do a lot of focus on safety, recognition of safety activities, and then just in general recognition overall, making sure that when people perform well, that we recognize them for that performance. Last thing I'll say is also give them opportunities for career growth, and make sure that there's paths that are clear for them, that they know I can get from here to here to here, and I can do something different if I want to do something different.
Yeah, we do an awful lot like Starbucks does. So we try to make sure that they know that there's a career path. Within 2024 year to date, we've promoted internally 7 people, which is great. Think about 130 people. And then for the employees that may have losing my words, excuse me, may have applied for a role and didn't get the role, what we do for them is we make sure that we have a development plan put together for them. Additionally, in regards to safety, we have monthly safety committee meetings, which are led by the employees. So that we have EHS, Environmental Health and Safety team that actually will be there as support, but it's actually the safety committee is owned by the employees. So we start in the plant floor and all the way up, and we tell our employees safety starts with them. They're as responsible for safety of themselves and their coworkers as is the leadership team. Additionally to that, we have monthly roundtable conversations with leadership where we will invite 6 to 8 members randomly across each one of the shifts, and we'll have conversations with them and ask for feedback on how are we doing from a safety perspective. Are there any safety concerns that may not be handled by the safety committee that they would like to make sure that we are aware of. We also talk about quality of the work environment, quality of the food that we're producing, or do they have any ideas of how we can make this better? And then most importantly, what is their work experience? What can we do to make their work experience more delightful so that they never want to leave us? As we talked earlier, retention of employees is key to manufacturing success. Even though we have a continuous program of training, it is time-consuming and expensive and impacts the efficiency of our operation if we have to always train new employees coming in. So it's really important for us to make sure that our employees are trained so that they're as efficient as possible, and most importantly, that they're as safe as possible working in our facilities.
Yeah, Lisa, you mentioned, hey, there are some challenges. There's expense with new employees. But when you talk about culture and you talk about, hey, treating people like family, does that ever present any issues, in your company and trying to manage a workforce which, kind of requires people to be there and, do their part?
Well, of course it does, because then maybe they think they can miss and it's okay. That's not the case. So it's more like a father figure. The biggest problem with keeping employees is they don't show up all the time. So they're not part of the family yet. You know what I mean? So we actually do a 6-month probation at VIP, and so they make them feel like they want to be part of our culture. You know what I mean? And through that 6 months, we trying to mold them to be a good employee.
I think so. Adding on that is maybe twisting that a bit. That we want to make sure that the partners that are gone, that they're missed, and that it's known, hey, we really want you here. We need you here. You're important to us being successful, and without you being here, we're going to really struggle. And the people that are left are going to really struggle. So we try to make sure they know that. At the same time, it's one of those balancing things, because we do give really good benefits. We've got this protected sick leave that helps partners be confident they can keep their job and their role should they run into medical issues or challenges. But ultimately, we want them there. If we don't have the hands there, we can't produce what we need to. So a little bit of peer pressure goes a long way to making sure that people know we got to have you here, and you're important to us. If you're not here, we're going to struggle.
And to build on that, we have a system called Red Zones, a productivity and compliance software system, where you can give virtual high fives people, so it'll come up on the screen all across the facility. There's a lot of opportunity, and there's a lot of high fives from the one shift who's handing off to the other shift, and it would be like, hey, we've got this going really, really well. Can continue up the good work? Or the shift, the first shift, who just got the handoff from the third shift, may send a note back to the third shift like, hey, thanks for setting us up for success. We're going to nail it during this next 8 hours.
Jay, just kind of moving this up from company culture. There's also a state culture. There's a county culture. There's a culture in government. What is that culture in Nevada right now doing in terms of the manufacturing industry and its growth here?
Well, we have tremendous opportunities in manufacturing. The Bureau of Labor Statistics says that since 2020, Nevada has led the nation in terms of the percentage of manufacturing jobs created. I don't know how many of you knew that. It's verifiable. I guess it comes from the U.S. Department of Labor. Creates an opportunity, but what I'm hearing here is that a lot of what companies that are represented here do are really innovative, and to some extent it's outside the norm of what we're seeing nationally. Gen X and baby boomers, they used to say, live to work. Now Gen Z and millennials, they work to live. And that they want more experiences out of life. They don't like the rigid 9 to 5 and Monday through Friday environment that manufacturing kind of necessarily requires, because a lot of the processes are static. You can't give people Fridays off. You can't give people flex time all the time. You have to work shifts. You can't work from home when you're in manufacturing for the most part, unless you're in a managerial role, something that doesn't require you to be in the plant every day. So there's some real challenges nationally that everyone's recognizing. It goes back to that workforce availability, and it requires innovation. So your manufacturers here in northern Nevada and western Nevada in particular are doing some really good things to keep people engaged, make the work enticing, along with wages and benefits to keep the manufacturing economy growing.
For manufacturers up here, two questions. One, do you see a difference between the generations, from the boomers to X to millennials, and are we calling them Z or Zoomers? I mean, I'm not sure yet. And have you done anything to adapt your schedules, your time off, to maybe keep employees engaged in there?
So in our manufacturing, we need to stick with the 3 shifts. We work 24/5. So unfortunately, we're not able to really work around those times, but we're able to switch shifts, and if maybe something doesn't work for an employee, we try to move them to another shift. So we do try to work with our employees. You asked me if I see a difference. Yes, I have a 76-year-old gentleman who runs circles around the 18-year-olds. But I do believe that there is a lot of potential in the young generation. I just don't think that they know any better. I think that they've been brought up, again, on their phone, not actually learning how to do hands-on, not getting an attaboy for building something with their hands. So yes, the 76-year-old will run 2 machines in comparison to 1, but I think that 18-year-old has potential.
Yeah, we have different shifts. We run 24/7. We only have major holidays off, and because of running 24/7, there are some unique shifts that we've got where people are able to work 4 10s. When I worked at our plant in South Carolina, and at that plant we had 12-hour shifts. We did a rotation where, because of the shift structure, you ended up with a lot of days off, more days off in the year. The problem with those longer shifts in manufacturing is it's on your feet. You're doing work. You're working, and it's physical. And when we had those 12-hour shifts, it was really challenging for folks that even though they had more days off, they took more days to recover from the work week that they had versus enjoying that time, that free time that they had away from work. And so even 10-hour shifts starts to get on that edge. And so we have to be careful about how we flex that. But generally speaking, we're no different. The machine's got to run, and you got to have a belly button there that's going to be running that machine. So we got to make sure that folks are there. The difference between the generations, there is differences, but I think generally, and George kind of got at this, if you can help people understand or reward them, recognize them, acknowledge the value that they bring, I don't think it matters what generation it is. They start to engage, they start to get excited, they start to do different things that they maybe didn't think they were going to do. And so human nature, I think, is pretty much the same. As long as you recognize people, praise them up, give them opportunities to learn, be part of the problem solving, generally speaking, they rise to the occasion.
I agree with everything Aaron said, and I'll give an example of something that we did. So back in November, we went from a 12-hour shift to an 8-hour shift. And the reason we did that is we could see how tired our employees were, and we wanted to make sure that they had work-life blend moving forward. When we talked to the employees about it, it was the younger employees who didn't want to make the change. It was the older employees, the employees who had the families, who really embraced the change and really wanted to go to the 8 hours so that they had more time to be rested and with their family.
So you've all been in Douglas County for a long time. If you had to do it over again, you know, with the climate today, do you think your facility would still locate here?
Actually, our facility is trying to grow here. We have 150 job opportunities that we're trying to fulfill. We want to move all of our commercial business up here. So I mentioned we're plastics up here, but we're actually trying to move rubber. So to answer your question, yes, even with the challenges, that we know we're going to face, we're ready to go. And I have to thank the county for already reaching out and offering to help.
It's hard to answer, would we choose here again? I don't know that. What I can tell you is we've spent a lot of money reinvesting